Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 10th of December, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar sinking lower this long-term chart. Remembering this is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute chart, long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market. We have recovered some ground just in the last couple of days. So dollar just recovering a little bit after a dire week last week, but the trend is still down long-term. The euro is sitting at 120.86, so holding the 120 level, though we are just turning short-term bearish. Just a mini downside target, still these upside targets to play for. Sterling, of course, in the news, sitting at just under 133, actually just ticked to 133 against the dollar, so just falling away, just nudging that. It was 134.50, got as high as 135, so we are just seeing a bit of a setback. Of course, a lot surrounding Brexit. Back to 110, and really now pricing in a no deal. Bitcoin sitting at $18,400, recovered a little bit of ground, but still short-term bearish. The long-term and medium-term charts, of course, looking very bullish. The S&P 500 index did fall back yesterday, and the Nasdaq also falling back. We'll take a look at some of the individual Nasdaq stocks in a minute, but interestingly, we are still holding those upside targets. The Dow came back as well, still holding the 30,000 level, and we're seeing the futures this morning. The Nasdaq at the S&P future slightly up, and the Nasdaq E-mini down a little bit, so we are just seeing that fall in Nasdaq. A lot surrounding the investigation to Facebook, so we'll see how that goes. VIX volatility, the fear index sitting at 22, the FTSE future sitting up this morning, but the cash market in Germany a little changed, and the CAC Quarante actually up just under 0.25%. Japan was down 0.33%, the Hang Seng down by a similar amount, so we are just seeing the trends falling away there. Shanghai was little changed. The Aussie market fell quite significantly, down 0.6%, and the Sensex in India was actually up, still looking very strong indeed, a very strong recovery from 25,000 to 45,000 this year, so really very significant indeed. If we look at gold, we see gold is actually down 0.5% at 18.29, falling back to short-term bearish, and silver also just falling back a little bit there. Copper little changed at the moment, but still looking very strong on the chart. US 10-year yields back to 0.93%. Looking at the tech stocks, this is really interesting. So we've seen the Nasdaq making new highs, Apple nowhere near making a new high, still with a downside target. This is really a breadth indicator. Amazon also not making new highs, short-term bearish, and Alphabet also just actually looking a little bit short-term bearish, but did actually go on to make new highs. So Alphabet's the standout. Microsoft not making new highs, and Facebook, of course, in the news, falling away there, also not making new highs. So we've got Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and Facebook not making new highs. So that's really significant. About a third of the Nasdaq in market cap just struggling to make new highs. Looking at the energy mix, we've got Brent crude up 0.7% at 49.21. Can we break that $50 mark? We're still in that sideways range. Sideways was our call this week, and that's what we've got. Looking at WTI, much the same picture, of course. US nat gas just nudging this $2.42 mark, really just finding support just on that 240 zone, but still looking pretty bearish. Storage numbers out today. It'll be interesting to see how the market reacts to those. Coal continuing to rise. That was our most bullish call this week, and we see we're up there. Emissions back above the €30 mark, pushing higher. We're expecting with these targets, lots of targets on the 1 minute chart, we're expecting with these targets that we will make new highs in emissions. MBP up 4.8% this morning, strong showing there, just nudging to make new highs on the front month contract. TTF similarly up 2.8%, not quite making new highs there, and winter gas up 2.9%, again just not breaking to new highs. Looking at German power, up €44, making a new high since March, so looking very strong indeed. No surprises there. All these upside targets looking very good indeed, and that means, of course, that other markets following. We're seeing Nordic Power up 2%, the quarterly contract in Norway up a further 2%, and UK Power up 2%. It has been pretty quiet, breaking to new highs as well, so that's looking good for UK Power. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.